Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we have got a pair of new VMAXs that we need to go and take a little bit of a look at. The other day, I showed you both Celebi and Sandaconda V, and I showed you those lovely special arts, which are frankly absolutely beautiful, especially the Celebi. And I told you that we were going to be getting VMAXs of them. Well, good news, ladies and gentlemen. We are, in fact, getting VMAXs of them. And I'm going to start off with Celebi here, just as a little bit of a shout out to Joe over at Celebi.net, who is awesome and helps us out a lot. So, you know, I don't think you're watching, Joe, but if you are, hey, Joe. So, Celebi then, any good? Well, our translation, of course, comes from the lovely Antoine Boulet, and if we start off having a little bit of a look at the basics here, we've got 310, which is very much on the lower end of VMAXs. It hasn't stopped Victini seeing a lot of play, but if you play a lot of games with Victini, you'll realise that 310 does become a problem in a bunch of matchups. We got a nice low retreat cost of 1, which is good, and a weakness to fire. And hey, remember how I just mentioned Victini? Well, Victini for 2 energy does 220 to a Pokemon V. Yes, that does include VMAXs. And the problem with this is that if you're weak as a VMAX, you will be KO'd incredibly easily as a VMAX. So yeah, you've got a pretty bad weakness rolling on here, even bearing in mind that when we hit the rotation, Welder will be rotating out, and other fire decks will be getting a little bit worse. Victini I'm expecting to still be an absolute powerhouse. So that's not ideal. As for being a grass Pokemon, you're not really hitting anything terribly relevant for weakness. You're being resisted by stuff like Zacian, and you do have Rillaboom to accelerate energy, and that is about the best I can give you. Oh no, that's not actually fair. We do have Turffield Stadium to search out your evolved grass Pokemon, and I will tell you that is actually genuinely pretty cool. So, not loving the basics, are we loving the ability? Once during your turn, you may heal 20 damage from each of your grass-type Pokemon in play. And actually, you know what? Yeah. This isn't too bad, ladies and gentlemen. This is not too bad. Now, it's kind of awkward because you turn into a bench-sitting free-prize Pokemon. Now, the good news here is you've got a nice low retreat cost, so if you do get dragged up to the active, getting out of the active is unlikely to be a particularly big issue. We like this. This is good. However, you give up free prizes and you're a bench sitter with a pretty bad weakness and low HP. And I'm not sure how much I enjoy this. This is one we really are going to have to watch. Because the thing is, this is not limited to once during your turn, right? I mean, it is per Celebi, but it stacks. Not all abilities stack nowadays. This ability absolutely stacks. So I kind of love the fact that you can sit there with like 4 Celebi VMAX and be healing 80 damage from each of your Pokemon during your turn. But what are you attacking with? And the other thing is Zarude. We've got Zarude at the moment, and if we're going to be playing some kind of healing grass deck, we are going to need a reason to play this over Zarude. For just 2 energy, Zarude does 100 damage and allows you to attach 2 basic energy to your bench Pokemon and completely heals any Pokemon to which it attaches energy. So you attack with Zarude and all of a sudden you get to completely heal 2 Pokemon. And they don't have to be grass Pokemon, and they're completely healed, and you're not an evolved Pokemon, and you can't be ability locked. And you see where I'm going with this? If I want to play a healing grass deck, maybe Zarude's a better option. And look, if I can find a really good grass attacker and I can just have Celebi healing up, that's awesome. But I'm not sure what that deck looks like right now. Hang on a second. Maybe Victini's got an attack here. Well, 2 energy, 130 damage. Search your deck for up to 2 Pokemon, reveal them, and put them into your hand. And there are things to love about this attack. I love that it's only 2 energy, that's cool. I love that you're searching 2 Pokemon, because it means if you want to play a 4-4 line of Celebi and you want to get them all out and you want to start healing up loads, you can just attack and do it, but you're doing 130 damage. And that is not enough for 2 energy on a VMAX. I just told you in a recent video, I think the last video I uploaded, about Metagross, and how Metagross, frankly, wasn't enough at 100 going up to 250 the next turn. So in what world is 130 going to be enough when it never gets the chance to escalate any further? And I think the sad answer is, it's not going to end up being enough. And that makes me sad. And the thing is, if you're only doing 130 damage, why am I not doing 100 with Zarude and getting better healing? And that's kind of my problem with Celebi here. I don't know what this gives me that I can't get with my 2-prize Zarude V. I'm not doing a huge amount of damage. I am searching Pokemon as I go, and I do really appreciate that. That makes me pretty happy. But I'm not doing enough damage to make that attack really look good. And I like the healing ability, but I'm not sure if I need to use Celebi to do that. And unfortunately, I think I'm just giving it free Wassies. Again, this is one of those, I don't see it as a bad card. I don't think it's a bad card. I think it's very underwhelming. I think the best way to do this would essentially be to have a really good grass attacker and then have a bunch of Celebi on the bench and do a nuts amount of healing. But now I'm taking up lots of bench space. I'm having to grab all my Pokemon. I'm having to evolve up. I'm liable to be ability locked. I've got fairly weak free prize Pokemon on my bench, etc. And I want to be wrong about this. I would love this to be a really cool deck moving forward. But I just don't really see where Celebi fits. And anytime I'm thinking about using Celebi, I have to turn around and go, you know what? I think I'd rather play Zarude. And I'm sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Especially in the unlikely event that you are watching. I'm sorry, Joe. I promise you, I want to say nicer things about Celebi. I'm just not sure I can when we've got the cards sitting in front of us. But we've got another chance here. We've got Sandaconda VMAX. What do we see? Well, 320 HP is pretty standard for a Pokemon VMAX. That seems to be about the average. We've got a retreat cost of 3, which is honestly kind of awkward. It's a bit high. We don't like it. And a weakness to grass, which, okay, fine, it's weak to Celebi. Though, incidentally, Celebi is miles away from getting a one-hit KO anyway. And, frankly, you're not being hit by very much for weakness at all. So we're fine with it. We've got a fighting typing, however, and that is really good. For a very short period before this rotates out, we've got tricks like Karate Belt and Martial Arts Dojo, which are really very, very cool. We've then got just weakness. You're hitting weakness on Eternatus. You're hitting weakness against Crobat. You're hitting a good weakness here is where I'm going. This is very, very cool. It's a good time to be a fighting type Pokemon. But what do we see? Well, what we've got is 1 fighting energy and you deal 60 damage plus 20 to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. And I actually really like this. Now, it's not perfect. Let me get this straight. It is far, far from perfect. However, 60 to the active and then start spreading, I like it. Like, we've seen plenty of Pokemon in the past, like Tapu Koko, that do 20 damage to everything, and that is working out beautifully. Here, we're doing 20 damage to the bench while doing 60 to the active and hitting a really good weakness. Now, honestly here, what I really want to be doing is 90, so I can get that KO on Crobat, and it's a little bit sad that I'm not, but I'm comfortably hitting Crobat, while spreading a bunch of damage around, and bearing in mind when we hit the rotation, the Mew from Unbroken Bonds, which is currently our best option for protecting our bench, that is going to be rotated out. And that means that it's going to be so much easier to actually go after your opponent's bench and start smashing, and I appreciate that very, very much indeed. I would love it if I could get this going turn 1. If it was a single or rapid strike deck and I was able to use one of those mustard cards, go second, get this turn 1, I would be so much more of a fan, especially because you add a vitality band and all of a sudden you are hitting really relevant Pokemon like the vast majority of evolving Pokemon, like Galarian Zigzagoon, for instance. That would be awesome. But You're just not. The good news is if you go first, you can evolve up before your opponent has had a chance to evolve. So I do like this in terms of my opponent's had one turn, I'm off. But then again, if my opponent's had one turn and I get Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX instead, then for a single energy I'm hitting 150. Or if sometime over the first 2 turns I've attached a Rapid Strike energy, I'm doing 120 to 2 Pokemon. And I like that a lot more. I like this first attack. I like doing that damage to the active. I like doing a bit of spreading around. I love that it's single energy. Incidentally, it means it works brilliantly with stuff like Cheryl that can heal. Because, of course, Cheryl heals your evolved Pokemon but discards all the energy, but it doesn't matter because you've only got 1 energy on there anyway. So I do really like that you can take advantage of things like that. But I just worry that if I want to get a fighting VMAX, I can go for Rapid Strike Urshifu, and that's got to be the gold standard right now. Important to note, this does have a different weakness. But for free energy, 180, and you get to move any number of energy from your Pokemon to your other Pokemon in any way that you like. And I like this as well. I like that you do enough damage to KO a Crobat if they're weak or not. I like that you're doing enough damage to KO someone like an Eternatus or some other VMAX, which is weak. That's cool. I like that you're moving the energy, so essentially you move the energy off, and if your opponent KOs you, they don't get the energy, but if they don't KO you, you can Cheryl. So if you've taken a hit, you do this, move the energy around, and one of 2 things is going to happen. Either you get KO'd but you haven't lost the energy, you're fine, or you don't get KO'd, and then you get to play Cheryl and do a bunch of healing. I like it. I don't love the damage output. I don't think the damage output is particularly high. I think 180 has become very pedestrian in terms of numbers. But you are getting pretty much all single prize Pokemon, which is pretty big. You're getting anything you're hitting for weakness, and you're getting things like Kricketune. These support Pokemon will go down in 1 hit. And when you combine that with being able to move your energy around, get some healing going on, etc., I do like Sandaconda. I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies, but don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. I think there is some work to be done to put it on the same level as something like a Rapid Strike Urshifu VMAX. But the fact of the matter is, you've got a really nice single energy attack that can start spreading some damage super early. And you've got a really nice attack that can move damage around and frustrate your opponent. That adds up, ladies and gentlemen, as far as I'm concerned, to a really nice Pokemon indeed. But I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.